The QX60 has been a very successful product for Infiniti since before it was ever even known by that name. As the years have progressed, it has been continuously updated, all culminating in the most luxurious QX60 yet, the Limited. For this review, we're going to be focusing on this model exclusively since all the information for the other trims is not yet available. So let's go ahead and see if the big dog QX60 will propel the lineup to new heights.
We would like to specially thank Infiniti of Lexington for allowing us to come out and film this review. If you would like to check out their all-new dealership and extensive inventory of all the Infiniti models, their physical address and web address has been provided in the video description.
So just like every Infiniti, you have standard smart entry and their typical small and light key fob. You do also have remote start standard. So as you can see, there's a lot of changes for the Limited on the inside, but like always, we're going to start out on the outside. So of all the upgrades the Limited package gets you, none of them are under the hood. That means you'll continue to find the 3.5-liter naturally aspirated V6 engine, producing 295 horsepower and 270 pound-feet of torque. Power can be put to the ground by just the front wheels or all four, but regardless, the transmission is always continuously variable with simulated gear changes. The Limited's equipment also has no impact on the fuel economy, which remains at 20 city, 27 highway, 22 combined with front-wheel drive, and 19 city, 26 highway, 22 combined with all-wheel drive. Those numbers put it exactly in line with competitors like the Acura MDX and Audi Q7. So with those details out of the way, let's move on to the Limited's exterior upgrades. This QX60 has been around for a while now, but thanks to Infiniti's continuous upgrades, it still looks very fresh on the outside. The grille has your typical classy yet sporty Infiniti look, and the Limited builds upon that by using a darkened chrome that more closely matches with the mesh on the inside. The same dark chrome surrounds the standard LED fog lights, though the headlights have been left alone. They are bi-xenon HID headlights, accented by signature LED daytime running lights. Moving to the side, this continues to be a very large SUV, though it hides its size well. In length, it's actually only a tad smaller than a Chevy Tahoe, but the sharp bodyline and crescent rear window keep things looking athletic. As far as the rest of the styling, the same concept applies. It has a sportier than expected stance in the rear, set off by narrow LED taillights and more dark chrome on the Limited. Of course, you do also have dedicated badging. Underneath, there is a hidden exhaust outlet and a full-size spare tire, and the tow rating remains at 5,000 pounds. Lastly, the Limited gets standard dark roof rails and crossbars, which look very nice against the white paint. Probably the biggest exterior upgrade to come from the Limited are these excellent looking wheels. They are 20 inches with a unique design, and of course they are finished in the same dark chrome as the rest of the car. For the brakes, they are 12.6 inches in the front and 12.1 inches in the rear, both ventilated. Coming up to the mirrors, you naturally have all the technologies since this is the highest tier trim. That means there's power folding, heating, auto dimming, reverse tilt down, and LED turn signals. The standard blind spot indicators are inside the cabin. And speaking of that, now let's talk about safety. This year all the trims have been restructured in packaging to be like the newer Infinitis. So forward emergency braking with pedestrian detection is standard, and all the other features are in a new proactive package. That adds intelligent cruise control, rear emergency braking, lane keep assist, and automatic high beam headlights. The last important thing to go over on the outside is the fuel ranges. Since it gets the same combined mileage with both front and all-wheel drive, the 19.5 gallon tank is good for 429 miles of range. I also want to point out that you do not have to use premium fuel, which is something that most of the rivals require. Well, that's it for the outside, but now let's check out the bigger changes in the cabin. So looking inside, it's immediately obvious there have been a lot of upgrades to the interior richness. Instead of the usual black, beige, or brown that the standard model gets, the Limited gets an exclusive whitish color called stone. The seats themselves are finished in fine semi-aniline leather, with a beautiful quilted design that carries into the other parts of the cabin. The last touch the Limited adds is a unique silver wood trim. Of course, the door trim also has those same rich materials, with gorgeous stitched and quilted leather everywhere your arm would touch. And here's a close look at the special silver wood. Recessed inside are your two-person memory seats, and all four windows are fully automatic. Every QX60 gets an 8-way power driver's seat, including 2-way lumbar support. The leather itself feels excellent as expected, since semi-aniline leather is one of the highest grades available. Plus, I'm a big fan of the quilting. We also have optional running boards, but they're not really necessary. So first looking around, it feels really spacious in here. You'll also find nice materials even if you don't choose the Limited. All the upper panels are made of high quality soft touch plastic with stitching. In the middle, you have more of that silver wood trim, which also covers the entire center. Along the side, everything is padded, and all the parts fit together with solidity. To start, just press the button. All models, including the Limited, come with this 8-inch display. For the gauges, you have the typical Infiniti look, finished in purple. There is also a small display in the middle, and that has all your typical information. So every QX60 has electric power steering and this leather-wrapped wheel, minus the Limited's leather-wrapped airbag cover. The buttons on the left side control an assortment of entertainment functions, and the other side is about business with your adaptive cruise and safety systems. The wipers are rain sensing. The steering wheel itself is power adjusting, and off to the side is the button for heating. And up here is the actual blind spot indicator, which I mentioned earlier. Now that brings us to interior storage, where the QX60 does pretty well for itself. The center console opens in two tiers, the top one lined like a jewelry box. The second one is very deep and also lined in a similar way. Plus, this is where you'll find all your phone and rear seat entertainment connections. To be honest, this lid is one of my favorite parts of the entire cabin. Finally, in the front, you have a big area with a grippy texture to hold stuff still. So for the shifter, Infiniti stuck with a traditional leather-wrapped one. Pressing it to the left allows for manual control over the simulated gear changes, but paddles are not available. When you go into reverse, the signature or round view monitor pops up, so long as you get at least the essential package. There are several other views, and also moving object detection. The mirrors also tilt down in reverse, so you can see the parking lines. As far as the stuff behind the shifter goes, you've got a big dial for the 4 available drive modes. Flanking both sides of it, you also have 3-stage heated seats on most models, and ventilation on ones with the higher equipment levels. Now let's go ahead and sample the top audio system offered, the 15-speaker Bose. The overall sound quality of this system is very good and fills the large cabin well. As we move upwards, you'll run into this panel of buttons, partially for infotainment and partially for climate. The climate control is a 3-zone automatic setup, and most of the buttons are on this row, though you can do certain things from the touchscreen. The temperature controls are somewhat hidden since they're integrated with all the screen functions. And now that brings us to the screen itself, so let's go ahead and take a quick look. Last time I was in the QX60 for the 2017 model year, Infiniti had just updated the head unit to the newest InTouch system. That same system is still on board today, with a nice knob and hard buttons to navigate through it. Starting with the map, moving around is very easy with the responsive touchscreen display. It does also support pinch to zoom. In Bluetooth audio, you can play, pause, and skip tracks straight from the screen. There are also tons of other audio sources like AM, FM, XM, CD, USB, and aux. Now let's check out the apps. In here you've got useful stuff and interesting things like the Performance app. It's honestly pretty strange that a vehicle like this would have that, but if for some reason you want to know your G's, you can. Information includes some XM radio powered apps, but there is no Android Auto or Apple CarPlay. There's a lot more to this system that I'm not going to go over, so if you'd like to see it all, then please check out our InTouch Tech Help video. A link to that is provided in the description. Up top, you've got an auto-dimming mirror with built-in HomeLink universal remotes. You also have a moonroof. This is just a standard size unit, but there's a second much larger one that goes over the second and third rows. This makes everything feel nice and airy. So all in all, I enjoyed my time in the QX60's cabin. The limited package cost $5,000, and honestly it feels worth it for what you get in sheer interior opulence. Sure, there are a few tech components that are out of date, but don't let that scare you away from an otherwise very nice cabin. Now I'll go ahead and hand things off to Mason to finish out the video.
The rear door trim of this QX60 Limited is super nice. You have this leather padding here that is really soft, and then above it you have this quilted design, and then some more of this beautiful wood trim, and even the top part is padded. Down below you do have some door storage, and your window is of course fully automatic. In the rear of the QX60 you have 41.7 inches of legroom and 38.3 inches of headroom. That puts it much larger than the Audi Q7 and Acura MDX for reference. The seats are a quilted design, very comfortable. They can also slide and recline. In the center, of course, you do get your own rear vents and your own climate controls back here. Down below, you do have a 12-volt power outlet, a household style outlet, and you do have volume knobs for the theater package up here. You also have heated rear seats, and this is your remote to control these dual 8-inch screens. This is part of the entertainment package. The armrest does fold down, and it does have some cup holders inside. Up top you do have this panoramic moonroof, even though the third row does get a better view than us. The headliner is pretty soft. You've got a light and an assist strip, and it is leather wrapped on this Limited. As far as legroom goes, behind Drew's position, I have probably about 6 inches of legroom, although if I can complain about something, my feet really can't slide up under the seat. Sliding over, I still have plenty of space, and over here, I guess if you adjusted the seat up, it could slide up under the seat, but once again, my feet would like to slide up under the seat. So overall, the rear seat of this QX60 is super nice. I have to say, the seats are super comfortable. I love the quilted design. You have your rear entertainment screens here. You have your own climate controls, this panoramic moonroof. It's a really super nice place to spend time. I can imagine doing a lot of road trips in this car. So great job, Infiniti. To get into the third row, just grab this little lever here and pull up. The seat will then slide right out of the way and fold the seat back. One thing to mention here though is that it will not crush your child seat if you have one installed. Here's a look at the third row. It is pretty spacious back here. Once I get back here, well, it's not really made for adults, but obviously my knees do touch the seat. My feet can slide up under the seat actually better than in the second row. You do have some cup holders here, USB port, and like I was talking about earlier, this panoramic moonroof is actually really nice for the third row, better than the second row's view. Overall, this is not a bad third row. You can slide the seats forward, so if you did that, you would probably have plenty of space for maybe 7 adults. It's pretty easy to slide this thing back into place. The limited QX60s do get a hands-free power liftgate. Inside you'll again find a much larger than average cargo capacity at 15.8 cubic feet behind the third row, 40.8 cubic feet behind the second row, and a maximum of 76.5 cubic feet. You can fold down the rear seats. First you have to grab this, fold that, then push this forward. It's pretty easy. And I do want to mention that Infiniti does include power return. Over here you do have a 12-volt outlet as well. Underneath the floor, you do have another storage compartment that is actually really big. Also looks like you have your subwoofer back here. The passenger seat over here is 6-way power adjusting. It would be nice if they did include lumbar. In front of the passenger you do have pretty nice materials. This is all a soft plastic. You got your stitching up here and some more of that beautiful wood. Glove box is gigantic and it is nicely felt lined and illuminated. Here's your sun visor with light and mirror, as well as an extension. You've also got some more of that leather stitching over here. Well guys, we hope you enjoyed watching the first in-depth look at the 2019 Infiniti QX60 Limited. Stay watching for a quick look at the pricing, and don't forget to hit those like and subscribe buttons below. We'll catch you next time as we sample more of the latest automotive delicacies.